Neptune in the 8th house, again, is temptations to hustle, sell things, buy things, use money, to be questionably honest in using other people's resources. But if you can be dedicated and you do things that's helping people, you make sure that the top 1% don't get everything, and then you believe that what you're doing is helping the society, helping the community, that can be a really positive thing. It's not practical. So, but if you do something wrong, like a custody fight or something like that, what's right or wrong on custody, that's an 8th house scenario. And Neptune, there can be so many rights and wrongs. Like, I know people that work with child services, and they have to be in the court cases when the kids are separated from the parents or these judgments are made. And it's horrendous, the complications that are there. And usually they can't stay in that job for very long, because it's sad the way a lot of judgments get made. But some people thrive on that and work on that and try and improve the lives of other people who have been misused the resources of others, been dishonest with them. Well, it's interesting how someone could do something like give some medication to kids in a class to get out, and they get 21 years. Someone else can rip off thousands of people and get caught, and they stole billions of dollars and they get 2 or 3 years. You know, so it's funny how what's right, what's wrong is a really puzzle around these things. Neptune in the 4th house is your security place. It's how you feel secure or not. That's your feelings. So you can have tremendously profound feelings. You're going to take on every puzzle if it's your own guilt, or you're going to have guilt in your family you don't want anyone to know about, because it'll affect everything. So, but at the same time, in terms of meditation or depth of visualization, it's an incredibly powerful place for Neptune to be. Okay, so Neptune's such a puzzle maker, such a not as it seems. Is it the dream and someone's too fanatical in a dream, or is it a guilt, or have they messed it up, or have they been punished, or having to atone for what they've done wrong? This is all Neptune. It's this voice of conscience. It's a voice of belief or disbelief. And it's working through the affairs of a specific house. And whenever you don't know it, something's not as it seems here. There's some puzzle here. What is it that's going on here? And you don't see it exactly. You can sense it. And that's the right approach to Neptune. You've already done each of the planets, so you know how the person's processing. Here's saying, oh, here's where you're tempted. Here's where your visions, where your dreams, where your gullibilities come in. Now, we put it, again, when I'm going through the elements and going through the modes, I'm using these keywords all along the way, so it's repeating it. But just Neptune, expression, person could be a poet. They could write dramatically, but they could also be really deceptive, very evasive, and be hard to be honest. So a person might be hard to be honest, but could be a very good writer using the dishonesty and these concepts in writing, and might not hurt people. But there's a lot of lessons to learn. You learn if you put out wrong things, it'll set wrong things in motion. So how do you get rid of prejudice? How do you get, like, Neptune expression is going to be dreamy or dramatic, or it's going to be gullible, deceptive, guilt-ridden, and sometimes silence and gold. Sometimes simple and not saying anything is better than saying something with Neptune. But someone here might have Neptune there to be a great photographer, but they don't want to talk about it. Okay, so you just take the net. You have this. We have in we're looking at every planet. And each planet walks into this zone and has a certain place. In the orchestra or the band is the whole solar system. You have the 10 instruments, the sun, moon, and the planets, and you have those instruments. They're each playing a theme, and some of the themes get along, some don't, and they push it into different areas of your life. And you listen to that music, or you're putting out that music, like all these things come up as they put them. And that's, everybody's got all the same instruments, all the same houses, all the same planets. It's like a kaleidoscope, but they're just accentuated differently. Different ones are in the front, different ones are in the back, different accentuations. So, okay. When we get to values, it means you project idealistic values or questionable values. I mean, when I was a young man, a young kid, and I was smoking up and there was a bit of marijuana and stuff, it was like, wow, this is so nice. How could it, I could this hurt any, I believe in this. So I'm projecting those things. I'm going with long hair, going with beard, and just going out with projecting those things. But as I get older, I don't have those values anymore. They fell away. And I wouldn't project this thing. I mean, I projected that, oh my goodness. And I had to do more serious projections. You know, it evolved, but I still have a tendency to believe in something and put my money into it, throw everything into it, whether it's good or not. Like when I had the library I ran for 30 years, Mystical Library, there was a spiritual university I was trying to start. So these people, they had a lot of money, they were starting the university, and I thought, okay, great, well, I'll give them the library. You can have a library there. It'll support the university, a perfect place for it to be. Unfortunately, after 2 years, the financing never came around it. And I went to take back the library, and the library had been stolen. People had taken it out. It wasn't properly taken care of. And for the value, I threw everything in. But it lost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for the books and a whole lot of work. I had to take it back and rebuild the whole thing over again because they didn't really have the same values of protecting the knowledge. So just an example. You can do things, and then how do you know what you're paying for is worth it? You know, I give money to my grandson and he misuses it, and I had to learn to not give money to him but it was really difficult. So this was a Neptune of values. The values comes up in many different ways. Even when it was taking up the library, do we dare start the library? Library is such a huge thing, but how do we not do it? I believed in it. I built up a library and lived in the library for 30 years. I ran it like a one-person, brought in volunteers and things to help with it, but really, one person run a library. Eventually it ended. I didn't own land, didn't have things. I put all my resources into maintaining the library and getting collections, not into the properties and things to cure it. So I do have this double use of money. I don't think I'd change it for the world, because I'd rather put it towards something dreamy than something not. But it really was significant that I had to stop my life and not be around bad elements at a very early age, so the money was just not wasted. So a lot of times you'll see people and they'll give you the perfect example. Their stories will just tell you exactly, oh, there's a Neptune element in that story. There's the fantasy, there's the dream, there's the deception, there's the letdown, there's the sorrow, there's the guilt, there's the dependency. Oh, gee. It can be all those faces, and you're trying to get the better, and you're trying to get rid of the guilt or the sorrows. So there's something complicated wherever Neptune is, and you're trying to find the simple forgiveness around it. Okay. So when it's in your first house, it's just you project yourself into certain situations, and you're so sure you're there, and then over time, those situations weren't so real, and your projection was gullible, and then you'll have, oh, geez, I don't want people to know I was there or part of that crowd or that group, and I got to do something different. So it changes, you know, and it can change to good rather than bad. So when you're seeing Neptune, you see a puzzle there. You look to see, you act, you look to see and observe in that person's life whether it's working well or badly, whether there's sorrow or guilt, or whether there's belief or faith. And you try to get that confirmed. You can't presume that. You're seeing that's where it's playing out. You're trying to get some feedback, and if it's difficult, you see there's work to be fixed. There's always going to be some complicated issue there. If it looks like everything's perfect, you got to look a little more suspiciously under the surface. Everything may seem perfectly, but maybe the partner's an alcoholic or something, and there's some other hobbies, something else comes. So something's not as it seems. So you look a little more, you observe a little bit longer. But once you get focus on the observes, you say, oh, there it is. It's coming in that way. Oh, and that way too. It'll start showing to you more than you could, better than you could imagine. It's just critical discernment. So with Neptune in the 12th house, boy, you have to look at how many bad habits or bad beliefs are aligned with good people or bad people. Are they trying to help good people? Are they trying to help bad people and make them better? Or are they trying to, do they have a guilt conscience because they have the bad habit and they're around bad people and they don't want to get out of it, but the difficult things are happening. So like, how do you learn to atone for your transgressions, for the broken marriages, for the being separated from kids, for not living up to the job, whatever? This is the Neptune, it's a puzzle. And usually there's a need to transform, you actually be dedicated to a cause to solve this. that you don't get money for. You're just dedicating, you're helping somewhere. So most people working in a prison have been in prison and they know how to help people who've been there. Most people that have been on the streets, they can help people who've been on the streets, so they know what it's like. Most people have been a junkie. The people helping junkies have been junkies because they know how to, like, it's alcoholics, AA, like it's, you got to know the problem before you and help it and fix it before you help someone else with it. But once you've fixed it, you need to spread it around. This is a 12th house conscientiousness scenario. Neptune in the 11th house, questionable friends. Well, in one way, you could be involved in the theater, have all sorts of theatrical, dramatic friends, and it's so idealistic expressions. But then who gets what job, who's loyal, who fits in, who doesn't fit in, all the scandals and innuendos could come in from Neptune through your friendships. So in a theater group, it could easily come. But it could be a gang, it could be a group, it could be a team, it could be no team, but it could be a disassociation of something. But something's not as it seems in the area of friendships. Either it's over-dedicated, or it's overcomplicated, or you're trying to be a lover to your friend, or you're trying to have it's just or you have friends that are in confusing situations, or you're not reliable to your friends. Something strange in the neighborhood. When Neptune's up in the 10th house,